Hey guys, Scott here with episode 7. Today in the studio we have Ava Meyer, Junior Extraordinaire. Check it out. Hey everybody, this is Scott here with Trilogy Talk. We are on episode 7. Thank you for watching. Today in the studio, I have Ava Meyer, PDGA 8300 in the studio with her parents. How you doing, Ava?
Really good.
Oh, all right. For those who don't know, here in Kansas City in the Midwest, for the most part, it's covered in ice. They ventured about 30 minutes through a little bit of icy roads to get to us, so we really appreciate it. A couple things before I get started with Ava. I'm going to let everybody know Ava is 10 years old, and she has been disc golfing for a couple years, about 2 years at least with PDGA.
4 years.
4 years total. 2016 was her first PDGA rating, and one of the things that really have impressed me, and I think will impress a lot of people, and I don't know if you know this, but in your first year, you rose 254 PDGA points. In 2018, you rose an additional 214 PDGA points. At that record, you will be almost an 800 rated player at the end of this year. You think that's going to happen?
My goal is 600.
I think 600 is going to be easy based on what you've been doing already. So, she is a United States Junior champion that she won last year. In 2018, she won 7 events. A few of those events were solo women, but over half of them, you actually had to beat at least one girl, 2 girls to win. And some of those girls look like they were pretty good players. So it's a pretty good accomplishment. So you're pretty excited for the year?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, before we get too far started, why don't you tell everybody how you got started? Kind of, what's your story? What got you into disc golf? Do you remember starting?
Well, I started when my dad started, kind of, but I was little, so I would just go put the discs in the basket. And then my first tournament, like you said, was the Diva Spring FIBA 2016. And I had so much fun with it after that.
Okay. Do you remember what your first disc was?
Yes, but...
You can say it.
Okay.
Yep, it can be any disc. So,
Okay. So my first 2 discs, I don't throw them anymore. I got them at the same time, so they're kind of both the first ones. They were 2 super light Innova discs. One was a shark that got impelled by a spike at Rosedale, and one's a super duper light leopard.
What's super duper light?
Like 113.
Okay, that is super duper light. Well, my very first disc was called a dolphin. You ever heard of the dolphin? Most people haven't, so it's been quite a while. So, but I still have it somewhere in all these discs. So, all right. So, like I said, Ava is a United States Junior champion, but she also competed in the Junior World Championships in 2018. So, kind of walk us through the mind of Ava Meyer. Were you 9 years old then at that point last year?
Yes.
Okay. So you're at a Junior World Championships. Let's start with that one. Tell us a little bit, for those who don't know you, what was your experience like playing in a World Championship? Was that your first World Championships?
No, I had done the Amateur World Championships the year before.
Okay.
But I liked the Junior World Championships a lot more because it was all focused on the juniors instead of all being focused on the amateurs. The year before it was all focused on the amateurs, but Junior Worlds brought it all in, so that it was all focused on the juniors. I thought it was really cool that we could all do it, and yeah.
Okay.
I'm really excited for it to come again, and I was very excited that I got into the Final 4. That was very exciting for me.
And so when you made it to the Final 4, or even just the World Championships as a whole in general, were you more nervous playing at a World Championships, especially, or even on that Final 4 compared to a normal local tournament? Did it feel any different?
Pretty nervous.
Okay. Does it show in your play? Do you think when you go to throw a shot, think your hands are shaky or anything like that, or do you think you're just nervous on the inside, but you just play?
It depends.
That's all right. What about things like the heat? It was pretty hot at Emporia during the World Championships. Is that any different playing in the heat every day where you have to play in a tournament versus just playing a one-day tournament here in Kansas City? Is that any different for you?
It really is, because it wears me out a lot more. And then once I'm wore out, it's hard to get back up. But sometimes I always do. But
Okay.
it's just hard to get back up from.
Well, in Emporia, did you participate in the extra activities?
We participated in 3 of them. We participated in the skill shots, the putting. Oh no, we participated in 2 of them. Skill shots and putting.
Okay. What about the evening activities? Like, I'm not sure what they even had. They have bowling or they had art stuff or...
We did them every night, I think.
Pretty close.
Pretty close to every night.
So what was more fun? The extra fun stuff that with all your friends or the actual playing the disc golf tournament?
The fun stuff.
So, and that's all right. Okay, so now let's talk about Vermont. The junior tournament that you won, the United States Junior Championships, and you won that. Do you remember how many girls you competed against?
I competed against 2 girls. They were both of my age and same age as me. And I thought it was really cool being able to win at the same course that 1 or 2 months later Paige Bjerkes won her junior, not junior title, the junior
For World Championship?
World champion
Yeah.
title.
So that would be pretty impressive. I'm going to that tournament this year for the Masters World Championships. And one of the things I am excited about is to see the course for the first time. But with that same thought, I'm curious to see what kind of course Paige won on. I've been a big fan of Paige for a very long time. And so I'm excited to see that too. So we're on the same page with that. So how was the experience in Vermont? How did you like being in that part of the... It's a kind of a different weather a little bit, right? A lot more woods.
Yeah. It was cool since we took like a 2-week road trip up there. And I got to see all kinds of different stuff. But once we got to Vermont, we were playing disc golf almost the whole time.
Okay. Did you play any disc golf on that while driving in between home and Vermont on that 2-week road
A
trip?
bit.
Okay. Do you remember where you played?
We played in a lot of different places, so not exactly.
Do you guys remember where you played at on the road trip, or?
She got
He
to play.
wasn't there.
Yeah,
Oh.
I wasn't there, but she got to play in Pennsylvania, and
I got to play in Vermont, of course, and I played in Michigan.
Okay.
yeah, played in Michigan, Vermont. We did a few days in Pennsylvania. She got to do some work.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I stayed there for 3 days.
Well, you already have more states with disc golf played than a lot of people do. So I know a lot of people have only played 1 or 2 states. They've been playing for as long as I've been playing, or many, many years. So that's something, if you haven't thought about before, it's a pretty exciting little statistic.
Yeah.
So all right. So you won the United States Junior Championships. How exciting! Did you get a trophy?
Yes, I got a mini basket
And where is that displayed now?
in my room.
Do you play on it?
Sometimes, although usually I don't have minis in my room, so I throw it with Picos.
It's all right. So when family comes over or friends go over, do you show it to them? So you're pretty excited about it?
Yeah.
Is that your favorite trophy?
Yeah.
Would you say that that is your best win? Or do you have another win that you're equally as excited about that you have achieved?
I think that's my best win.
Okay. So those are some big accomplishments that you had in 2018. 2019 is getting ready to start. What are your goals for 2019?
Well, my biggest goal is to get to a 600 rating, like I said.
Mhm.
That's my big goal. I'm really hoping I can get there.
What are you currently rated at?
5 something.
541. So, all right. So 541, so you have 59 rating points to get. Like I said earlier, you've been getting 200 a year. I think you'll do it. I'm rooting for you. I'm going to be watching. So it'll be pretty exciting. So what other goals? You have any other goals? Putting, throwing farther?
I want to win the World Championships this year.
Okay. And that's a really good goal as well. So do you have, so kind of speaking of goals, and I didn't really prep you for this question, so you may not know the answer on that, and if you don't, but when you play, and you play locally, is there anybody that you like to play against that's hard to beat, or that you're just, that kind of maybe pushes you a little bit? Madeline Quaid, yeah. So, and who usually wins between you and her?
Me, but she's getting really hard to beat.
She's getting harder to beat? All right. And so for those who don't know, Madeline Quaid is a local, she's 10 years old as well, 10, 11, somewhere in that area. She's about the same age as Ava, and her parents, Scott and Ann Quaid, are also both very local and involved in the scene. But there's a story between you two. So there's a name that you guys are out there and you guys play. You even did a video on your podcast, or you do not on the podcast, but you did it.
Facebook.
Facebook. Okay. Yep, I saw it. And what's the nickname that you have for the two of you?
The Casey Wonder Twins.
So you have a logo for that yet?
Her mom is working on one.
So we need some T-shirts.
She's gonna get us the T-shirts.
So, all right. So, do you know which tournaments you're going to play in 2019 besides the World Championships in Emporia?
Well, we are going to play the Frostbreaker, the Rosedale Cup, the Diva Spring Fever, and Monkey Island. Those are the ones we have signed up for right now.
Okay.
And although there's no junior GBO in Emporia this year, we are still going up there and doing the C tiers.
Okay. You going to be able to spectate and watch some of your favorite disc golfers?
Yeah, we're going up there mostly to watch the lead card women and some other.
Okay. Well, speaking of lead card women and favorite disc golfers, who's your favorite woman disc golfer?
Katrina Allen, Paige, and Tina.
Okay. It's a pretty good crew. So, and is it because of how good of players they are? Is it because how nice they are or what they do?
It's just because they're my friends.
Okay. So, I can go with that. So, I know a lot of the top disc golfers, and I'd say I root for them. So, just because they're my friends, but usually they're pretty good. I don't think they need my friendship to
No.
still play very good. So, all right, how about guy disc golfers? Who are your favorite guy disc golfers?
Bobby Cool, that Slip Breeze, but talking pro, probably Eric.
Bobby's a pro?
Hopefully.
He's just not a pro.
Not a
Throwing.
dad.
Well, he's not
a pro in your mind, isn't he?
He's a pro disc golfer in the form of media, right? When you say he's a professional video person in disc golf, so I call him a pro disc golfer. Maybe not a pro disc golfer when it comes to throwing discs, but there's all kinds of different ways to call someone a disc golfer, right? So, in a lot of ways, people call me a pro, and I'm not a pro. You know, maybe certain things that I do, I can do pretty well, but I'm definitely not a player. But I enjoy it, so I'm my favorite. Just so you know, I was really hoping that was a test. When I asked you your favorite guy disc golfer was, I was really waiting for you to say Scott, you, and I was gonna cry and.
I was waiting for Dad.
Or Dad.
I thought of that.
So, all right. So, you're going back a little bit. You said your first discs were some lightweight Innova discs, but since then you throw Trilogy. Do you throw 100% Trilogy? Do you have any other manufacturer?
100%.
Okay. And what are your favorite Trilogy discs?
My favorite Trilogy discs are my Diamonds,
Okay.
my Warrant, and my Ruby.
Okay. So besides the putter, because we know what you use a putter for, what kind of situation do you use the diamond? Like
Going off tees when it's not a windy day and there's a pretty straight shot.
okay, what if it is a windy day?
I throw my Escape or my Stag.
Okay. And then if you're throwing your second shot and you're within reach of the basket, is that when you use the Warrant?
Pretty much, I'm between that and a different kind of Ruby. It's a Fusion Ruby. I'm between those two when I'm in reach of the basket, but I'm still going.
Okay. And this might be the same answer of what you just said, but say there's friend of yours that comes out and plays with you for the very first time, and you're going to get them a disc, what's the one disc you think you would get them? Someone who's around your age, somebody who would come and play with you, you were going to get them their very first disc. What disc do you think you would get them?
Probably a proof or a ruby.
Proof or a ruby?
They
Okay.
don't throw the proof anymore as much, but they're good starter discs.
Okay. And then one more tester question you might not have thought of, but out of your entire bag of all the discs you threw, if Dynamic Discs came out or Latitude or Westside said that disc is no longer available, we're not making it anymore and you can't find it, you're going to lose one disc in your bag, which disc would be the one that'd make you the most sad? The Warrant? Okay. So it's good answers. So, all right. So when you go to a tournament, we know what discs you're throwing, and we know what scenarios you're throwing. We know what kind of tournaments that you're ultimately playing. What do you do to get ready for a tournament?
Well, me and my dad play CTP, like with our mid-ranges and our putters.
Okay.
And we play catch, and sometimes we play a couple holes, and we putt. We do a lot of different stuff to warm up.
And do you do that before the tournament or at the tournament? Or both?
Both.
Okay. So that's all right. Have you ever beat your dad on a hole? Have you ever beat him on a round? That's a new goal. So we're going to add that to your goals to see how close we can get. And then when you do beat him, you let me know and we'll bring you back on here with your dad. And then we'll make sure we block his eyes out because he'll be crying. But he'll be crying because he's proud.
Yeah.
So I'm sure.
It's not far off.
So, all right. So this is a question more for your mom, or your mom and dad, or your dad, because he's the one who's in the video. And for those that don't know, Mom is off, and you're welcome to answer it, even from the outside if you feel. But how does it feel at 10 years old to watch your daughter over the last 2 years progress? I mean, she's really kind of stood out, and not only in just disc golfing or physically on the field, but even as an ambassador with her podcast, with everything she's kind of done. So how does that feel as a parent of that?
Well, it's really nice to see her, and we try to focus on this a lot, is hard work pays off. And instead of cheering the tournament win or cheering the trophies, we really cheer for improvement. So we say, your rating is showing that your improvement. Her goal was 500 last year, so we really worked hard. We played a lot of CTPs, we played a lot of putting games, and so to watch her go out in the yard and putt on her own, to go out there and work hard on a certain fundamental and see her accomplish that goal is probably the biggest accomplishment I've ever seen. It just brings me so much joy.
Okay. So does she, is she ever the one who instigates, like, hey, let's go out and play today? Or even some of these videos or like the podcasts or some of the various things like that. Are those a lot of times her ideas, or those things that you guys are working at as a family to kind of develop?
She does more. She has a lot of ideas how to bless people, like how to encourage people. That's all her.
Okay.
I mean, she does a lot of that. But go out and play is a lot of, hey, let's go out and play. Let's go out and have fun. And that's what we do a lot of times. Putting is something she does every day in the summer, if it's not bad outside. She'll go out for 30 minutes a day and putt. And that's just her world, and that's her escape. But her wanting to be on videos and wanting to promote discs for Trilogy, that's all her.
And that's pretty nice at this time too, because that's such a big thing with so many things with social media. Like for me to do this podcast, it took me years of thinking about it and putting it together, and I'm getting more and more comfortable with the camera, but it's not as common. It's not as easy, versus this is the world that she's brought up into. Like, it's hard for me to keep up on things like Instagram, Snapchat, things like that. And I don't know if she's quite into those things just yet, but a lot of the people her age, and as she gets older, even into her teens, who knows what's going on, but that's the world she grew up in. So it's only going to be a benefit as the world is getting more to media and video and things like that. Yeah, I had to learn it. You're kind of infused with it. You're learning it as you go. I had to learn it backwards. So if that makes any sense. So, all right. So speaking then of some of all the things that Ava does, Ava has a podcast out that she started a month or so ago. She's got a few episodes out there. It's Ava Meyer, 8300. Is that right? Or 83,000. Sorry, 80. That link will actually be posted in the description for anybody who wants to check that out. But tell us a little bit about that podcast. First of all, why did you start the podcast?
Well, we started it because usually when you watch podcasts like the Whale Pants podcasts and stuff, you're seeing the adult's perspective and the pro's perspective. Not in many podcasts are you seeing a junior's perspective and what a junior sees when they're playing.
Okay. And has it been fun doing it?
Lots of fun.
So do you have any ideas of what you... So far you've done things like at the Marksman League and out on the course and things like that. Have you ever thought about doing like a disc review in the perspective of a junior? You know, or something like that? Because I think that would be a pretty good one.
We did a couple disc reviews before we started the YouTube channel.
Okay.
And the podcast. So,
well, for what it's worth, I think a lot of people have kids who are younger and or just even different arm speeds, and to be able to see a different perspective versus seeing me or a 20-year-old who have a lot of energy to be able to throw it. So that might be something to think about. Do you have any other ideas or plans for the podcast of things, or are you just kind of going to see what happens?
We're thinking of ideas as we go,
okay.
So.
That's all right. So, all right. So, switch subject a little bit. We're going to talk about something a little bit more fun. So, you have a story that you want to share with something that happened to you. You want to tell the world tell them your story?
Well, at GBO 2017, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was GBO Junior, actually. There was a clinic, and I was the only one who threw a junior into the basket for an ace, and I got all the pros, and they signed their names on a
junior disc
for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool.
So where's that disc now?
On my wall.
Is that next to the basket for the United States Juniors?
It's up here. The basket's down here.
Well, I think a lot of people would agree that it's exciting, first of all, when you get a hole-in-one of any kind, but to have all the people or a lot of people you look up to see you do well or see you do that and then sign it, that's so much different than just having them sign it. That's something you'll always have. So
one of them said, I know someone's going to get it soon, and then the next shot I got it. It was pretty cool.
All right. Well, I'm going to kind of conclude here a little bit. So give you the opportunity real quick. Do you have anybody that you want to thank?
I want to thank Maddie, my KC Wonder twin, and Miss Rhonda for helping me get started and running my first tournament, the Diva Spring Cuba.
Okay.
2016.
Then who else?
Do you have a sponsor?
Team Whalesacs.
Oh, yeah. Hashtag Team Whalesac.
Yeah.
So Tina and Eric Oakley. So thank them. And so, all right. So anything else you want to say?
Nope.
Anything, Steve?
Just spend time with kids. To go out with a course, find a kid to play with, because they open up the game to a whole new world. So.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. Visit Ava's YouTube channel. And for both Ava and myself, if you like what we're doing, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. So until next time, keep sharing the Trilogy Love with the world. Thank you.